Prof Abambia to speak to us on musing about ancestral or indigenous mining. Thank you very much.
Country. No. Okay, so it's like I'm here to talk about the Galamsey menace. I think we are all familiar with this problem in Ghana. And just like the speaker before me has indicated, it's time to return to our roots. It's time to return to our roots, to our ancestral mining technology and methods. So it's time for Sankofa when it comes to mining. So the topic is Galamsey menace in Ghana, musing about ancestral and indigenous mining as the rescue. So what I seek to do here is just a simple task or a simple argument, being that we all know that mining, even as our leaders, even as the development so-called partners, but whom I will describe as imperialists, that is the World Bank and the IMF and the Western countries, would like us to take mining as the pathway to development. So for them, why sit on gold, why sit on oil and other wealth underneath the earth and be poor? So for them, mining is the way out, which is fine. Yes, we can mine, but did mining just begin recently? That's the question. And if no, and the answer is no, why is it that we are now experiencing this catastrophe of environmental degradation, dislocation of people from their ancestral lands? In some cases, as we are all aware, our rivers are polluted beyond recognition. Most likely, we are all drinking mercury. You may be drinking your bottled water or your sachet water, thinking that as a middle-class person, you are safe. But you never know where they got that water from. So we are all facing this catastrophe of the pollution of the environment, and especially almost the murder of people, the rural people who live near these resources. Throughout my research, I've gone to these communities, Takwa, Dumasi, Pristia, and what you see there is not just a problem of environmental damage or degradation from small-scale mining that they call Galamsey. And in this country, we are fond of just blaming the small-scale miners. So Galamsey is supposed to be the problem. For large-scale mining, that one is done environmentally friendly. That is the narrative that we are given if you read the literature or if you listen to the politicians. So in that sense, large-scale mining, the big transnational companies, they are mining very environmentally friendly, which is just a complete lie. They are actually causing more degradation to the environment more than the small-scale miners. So what I seek to do here is just to illustrate that mining did not start today. So the problems we are facing today are problems of modernity and capitalism, which includes over-modernizing our ways of life, even what we think is important in life. Wealth. Everybody wants to make money. So this is our communal way of life, our ancestral values regarding how to make use of nature, yet being respectful and sustaining that nature for future. We have lost those virtues. Or what the white people came and described that kind of mining as primitive, and for that matter, needed to be modernized. And then enter what? The use of chemicals, enter the use of machinery, which obviously, considering the nature of these chemicals like mercury, are very toxic. Enter the mining at a large scale. Those days, it was actually artisanal mining, and mining that just involved picking gold at the surface. So women could go to the riverside and just with a pan and pan for gold. And then men could dig shallow pits and got gold. So somebody will ask, does it mean we should return to the same so-called primitive, which I disagree? It was actually mining that was sustainable. And it was mining that matched what the people wanted. They were mining as something that supplemented their livelihood strategies. These days, we are interested in mining because we think that mining is the way to bring about industrialization, to bring about economic growth. So all our politicians across both party lines believe in mining. So recently we are faced with this disaster, what in the media they call the mining Galamsey menace, but I would rather call it the mining menace, because talking about Galamsey, then you are just basically referring to the ancestral mining, which was what Galamsey, the word Galamsey came from, because the white people came and they saw that the people, our ancestors used to just, do this panning for gold. When rain falls, they go and pick the gold. So they started saying these people, they gather gold and sell. So Galamsey is from the word gather and sell. But because our people, our ancestors could not speak English, they started calling it Galamsey. So when you refer to Galamsey, you are actually referring to the original ancestral mining, which is totally different from the present day capitalist destructive mining that we have. So there's a need to nuance these things, which is often missing in the discourses that we hear in the media. It's always missing in the discourses. Even some academics miss these nuances, and they just lump all types of mining as illegal as Galamsey. Never mind, they will excuse large-scale mining. So we have to look at this critically, also from a class perspective. Why is it that large-scale mining is so much, kind of glorified, and small-scale mining is demonized? One without genitals, some are born without anuses, and some are born without heart and other things. So it's a serious problem. So the question then is, what do we do? And it seems the state doesn't know what to do. They deploy the military, all kinds of names, Operation Flash Out, Operation Vanguard, Operation Halt 1, 2, 3, I don't know whether it's now in the X5th. All that has not done anything to the problem, and the reason being what? For me, speaking from indigenous mining perspective, speaking from somebody who believes in the ancestors, actually in my presentation I had my ancestor picture by the side with the UDS logo. Unfortunately, MC, we don't have the light for me to show that. So from that perspective, the solution is exactly what the other speaker before me said. We have to return to our ancestral way of life, our ancestral way of practices and norms related to land, related to the forest, related to the rivers. And these norms actually see these things as related to them spiritually. So if something is related to you spiritually, will you try to destroy it? No, you won't do it. Shake my head, and I'm wondering whether scholars from Africa can think like this. We are not saying that some form of modern life should not be accepted. But does it mean that we should throw everything traditional, everything that has to do with African ways of life? That's the question we are confronting here, we are grappling with here. And the answer is no. In any case, one way or the other, those people who think that they are modern, you actually see that when it becomes tough, they actually go back to their villages and start pleading with their ancestors to help them. So, I mean, we are all from traditional homes, and we see how we revere our elders, our chiefs. So if you say you are modern, are you going to be modern to the extent that you will disrespect your chief? Not to talk of the overlord of the Guam. You can't even, immediately you see the person, you know that this is tradition and there's some spirit in the person. So we are here talking about choosing carefully. And in any case, as some historians would say, I mean, Africans were actually on the pathway to modernization in their own ways before it was interrupted, rudely by slavery and then colonialism. So it's not that Africans were just going to remain the same, like people, like other stories will have it. When I went to UK to do my master's, one white lady asked me, I learned in Africa you sleep on trees. I say, yes, we sleep on trees, but I'm here. And I'm beating you in your own game. In the class, I beat you. So what's the difference? What makes a human being? So we are not talking about that kind of going back to our roots in that sense. And by the way, yesterday somebody told me that actually going back to our roots is actually taken up, is becoming something that everybody is talking about. And the person said it has to do with the food that we cook and eat. People are beginning to say that we should go back to our roots in terms of cooking in our traditional pots, the clay pots, and serving them on the clay or earth pots and bowls. Because we are told that these our modern bowls and plates, you heat them, you cook in them, you can get cancer. I say, there you go. It looks like people are beginning to actually think as we think in this association. Only that we have to keep the education going. So as far as mining is concerned, I think the solution to the mining menace, not just the Galamsey menace, is to return to our ancestral way of mining, which was very sustainable. It was respectful of the environment. The scale at which it was mined was very, very small. And I think that is the only way to save us from the disaster that we are facing and that our youth or the generation to come will face. So with this, I rest my case. Thank you. Thank you.
Very thought-provoking. Another